You've been going to the gym for months, maybe years, and you've almost got nothing to show for it. And you end up looking in the mirror or you see a photo and you think, how do I still look like this? And it's not like you've been doing nothing. You train when motivation's there and you eat well most of the time. But when life gets busy, for example, when something happens at work, the kids play up, you're traveling, things start to crumble a little bit and things start to fall apart. And then you end up going through this cycle of being motivated, not being motivated. Should I go to the gym? Shouldn't I go to the gym? And look, the answer isn't more training days. It's not longer sessions. It's not a different program or a new complicated training split or even a new pre-workout either. Because I've been a PT, personal trainer, for 11 years, delivered over 8,500 sessions now, and trained myself for over 14 years. And I can tell you that almost every client, myself included in this, who've been stuck in this cycle have been stuck for two specific reasons every single time. It's not motivation, it's not genetics, and it's definitely not discipline. It's two specific reasons. I'm not telling you where to go yet. It's two specific reasons, and once you see them, you can't even unsee them. So throughout this whole video, I'm going to tell you what they actually are, why they're the reason progress keeps stalling, and how to actually fix them. But I'm also going to show you how both of these two things affected my own training, because it isn't just something I've coached hundreds or thousands of people now, it's something I've actually lived through as well in my own training. And the honest version of the story might surprise you a little bit, and it might resonate with you as well. But first, it is currently 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Yes, I'm an early riser. I'm not sure if you are, but I'm someone who likes to get up really early, get stuff done, get to the gym. Saturdays are usually for me. Sometimes I have the odd client, but today I'm going to get down the gym, do my third full body session of the week. If you watch my last video, I follow 3 full body sessions per week. They're usually around 45 minutes to an hour. Coming back from a shoulder injury at the minute, which is starting to feel a lot better currently, which is great. So I'm going to take you through that, exactly which exercises I'm performing as well, and I'll do a voiceover of exactly my thoughts as I'm doing the exercises, my technique points, so that you can actually learn a thing or two if you want as well, because I'm that good of a guy. But before we get into that, we need to discuss those two things that I was talking about before. Let's get this down me, get sorted, and I'm going to start by telling you exactly how one of these two things came up in my life a few years ago and actually prevented me from making any progress in the gym. Let's go. Cheeky little physique update. As you can see here, giving a bit of a bicep shot. I'm feeling pretty good at the minute. It's only been around, 3 weeks I've been back on the program after taking a few months off for my shoulder injury, which has been really quite annoying because January and February were just not ideal for making any progress at all. I was almost just going through the motions, but as you can see here, my cuts are starting to come back in and I'm starting to actually look half decent again. So I started off this session with some split squats, and if you've seen any of my Instagram content, if you don't already follow me on there, I like to have the pad quite high up so I get a big stretch on the back leg so I get a full range of motion. A lot of people seem to have the pad quite low. Well, this is a better view here. I like to have it quite high so that I can get my knee all the way down to the floor. If not, I feel like you only end up doing like a half squat. These are brutal, but it'll be much better for your actual quad development. And then I moved on to some upper body. As I've said in another video, my cable chest presses. These are one of the main things I put in because of my shoulder injury, and I had elbow tendonitis last year from doing jiu-jitsu. So this really does help with that. Just like doing a chest press machine, really, purely because we don't have one in our PT gym. And I focus on getting all the way back as big of a stretch as possible and then contracting in the middle. And as you can see with these facials here, I'm going very close to failure. Next exercise was a standing single leg hamstring curl. This machine is not ideal at all at our gym. For some reason, you cannot adjust it at all. It's ridiculous. So if you've got someone who's 6'5", they've obviously got a lot longer legs and they're doing the same as someone who's fucking 5'5". But anyway, next one was cable flies. This is the first time I've done cable flies in months since I did the shoulder injury. So I'm going light here, but I'm going for around 20 reps, just really focusing on the movement, contracting the pecs in the middle and getting a big stretch at the back and relax the shoulders and puff the rib cage out. That's one of the best things I've found. And then I finished off, I actually did some abs as well. I didn't record that. And I'm just getting a few sets of bicep curls in because I missed a few sets on Wednesday. As you can see, my arms are probably my best muscle group. So that is the training session done. Feeling good. Finished off a few bicep exercises which I didn't manage to get done on my earlier week session. But now we're going to get some food. It's just before 9 a.m. I'm going to get ready for the day. Oh, feeling good at the minute. Shoulder's starting to get a little bit better, so I can now actually do some cable flies, which is great because they're probably one of my favourite exercises for the pecs. So breakfast, and then I'm going to tell you the first point of the two, which is imperative for you to know, and it was for me as well, for actually starting to make progress, to get in decent shape and to actually get lean. So back about 6 years ago now, when I first considered doing an Ironman triathlon, it actually was one of my best mates who said, look, before I'm 40, he was around mid-30s at the time, said, I want to do one of these Ironman triathlons. And I had never heard of it. I mean, I knew what a triathlon was, but I'd never heard of an actual Ironman. And he said to me, would you fancy it? And I was like, yeah, why not? Complete naivety. And I was thinking, oh, it's just this triathlon. I can run, I'm sure I can cycle, and I'll learn how to swim, even though I knew I was terrible. And it turned out it was something a lot bigger than I thought. And I did pretty much what any normal person would do. I thought, right, triathlon. I am going to start running, and then I'll pick up a bike, and then I'll just get down the swimming baths when I can. And this is, just put a bit of context in for you, this is March 2020. And we all know what fucking happened in March 2020. What I did was I continued my gym sessions. I didn't download a program. I just started running more because I knew at school I was a decent runner and I knew it was the lowest barrier to entry. But what I found was after around 5-6 weeks of doing this, I was all over the place. So in other words, I was just still doing my 4 or 5 gym sessions a week, running whenever I could in between clients at the time, and just whenever I had time when I wasn't working. And then I was looking at getting a bike online, so I still wasn't cycling, and then I was venturing into the swimming world, absolutely terribly, by the way. I was horrific at swimming. And what I found was that I wasn't really progressing as fast as I thought I would be. And I was thinking, how can I start something and be a newbie and not make the newbie gains? And I felt like at school I was really good at running, so I thought I'd just naturally take up to that. And don't get me wrong, I could run a few miles without stopping, but the main problem was that I didn't have any coherent structure to actually keep me on track, to actually make sure I knew exactly what days I was doing a gym session, exactly which days I was cycling, which days I was running, which days I was swimming. So because of this meant that I don't want to say wasting time, but I wasn't being effective whatsoever. And what I found was that I was actually, after only like 6 weeks, I was losing motivation already. And I was already thinking about skipping sessions. So what I ended up doing was I looked online and I downloaded a program which was specifically suited for beginners to do an Ironman triathlon. People who've never done one before, people who had no experience with triathlons at all. And you might be thinking, oh yeah, groundbreaking, you just downloaded a program. Well, this wasn't just any old program I downloaded online. I made sure that it was, 1, specifically for beginners. 2, I made sure that it was specifically going to work around my lifestyle, being busy as a PT. As you may know, PTs work mornings and evenings, especially doing one-to-one sessions. So during the days were the best time for me. So I knew that was when I could fit in my long cycles and my runs as well. And what I found after only around 4 or 5 weeks of following this program is that it completely changed not only my mindset, but I could see myself actually improving. I could see myself improving on my runs, I could see myself improving on my cycles. My swimming was still shit, I'm not gonna lie, that took fucking ages to improve on. But I had a complete mindset shift. And there was another massive takeaway which completely changed my running and my mindset towards endurance as well. And if you're not someone who's into endurance, you may not know this, so I might actually be giving you this completely for free. And this is actually just a side benefit to this video. But what I was doing was on my runs, I was just going out as fast as I could. So as most people do, you think every single run you've got to beat your previous time. This is almost like going into the gym and then every single session trying to PB your bench press or PP your deadlift. As you'll know, this will lead to absolutely fucking your body up and your tendons will hurt, you'll probably pull a muscle and you'll just feel like shit because there's no way you can progress every single session. And on this structured program, it's sent to do an easy run. And I was like, an easy run? Why would I do an easy run? I need to improve on my running. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to slow down? Well, what this told me was that 80% of your runs should be done at an easy pace where you can converse with someone if you were running with someone. And this meant that your heart rate was lower, which meant you were working more of your aerobic capacity. So once I started doing this, it completely changed my running. Like, it sounds like an exaggeration, but really, I started enjoying running. I started to actually enjoy doing my cardio sessions, and I wasn't burnt out every single session. So how does this correlate to you who wants to get lean and you want to get in shape, you don't necessarily want to be a runner? Well, this also applies with the gym and weight training as well. Because if you're someone who is just going into the gym, you maybe been going 2 or 3 years, you mainly go when you're motivated, but when you're not motivated, you might go once or twice per week and you'll just free ball, you'll YOLO your sessions. You'll maybe do a bit of chest, bit of back, bit of arms, odd bit of legs if you can be arsed. And what you find is that after 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years if you've been doing this or more, you don't really look any different. You still look in the mirror on a Tuesday morning when you're getting ready for work, or maybe you see a photo when you're out on holiday and you think, nothing's really happening. I'm going to the gym, but I'm not really seeing any progress. Well, the answer is to have a structured program which specifically works for you, understands your lifestyle, and one which you know are going to have a set plan each day, each week to just turn up and tick the boxes. And one which teaches you exactly the mechanisms which will work for you. So for example, as I said there, once I found out this 80% of your running should be done at a conversational, easy pace, it changed everything. Just that one little golden nugget, I guess you could say, completely changed my mindset. But I wouldn't have found that out if I didn't have a structured program, because I wouldn't have been able to find out this insight. That is the first point, is structure. But not just any old structure, it's a one which will actually work specifically for you, for your specific goals. And you're probably thinking, oh, Lewis, you're just trying to sell me your program. No, I'm not. You can find a program anywhere online, one which actually works for you. You can go to any PT at your local gym, but if you want one completely for free, linked in the description, I've got a 4-week soft to lean program. Actually going to give you the structure, which I use with all my clients and myself as well. It's just Google Sheets. It's no fancy bullshit app where stuff goes wrong every single week. It's the sheet I actually use with my clients and myself, and will get you in good shape. It'll give you the foundations over the next 4 weeks. So if you want to check that out, you can hit the link in the description, or don't, I'm not your dad. But that's only one part of these 2 points which are imperative if you actually want to make a change in what actually worked for me. And the next one is maybe one which you've thought about before, but you don't really know how to actually benefit from it, or where to get it from to actually see the results. And having the structure, the first part, is one thing, but I would argue that the second part is even more, or at absolute minimum, just as important. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and how it completely changed the game for me when I was doing that Ironman. And I know I keep going back to that Ironman in this story, but this Ironman story applies to anything, whether you're looking to just get in shape, get lean, it applies across the board. Anyway, it's now 9:10 on Saturday. I'm arriving back home. Make sure I spend a little bit of time with the missus, otherwise she won't be happy on her Easter weekend. And then we're going to eat for the rest of the day. So I've got to tell you about the absolute fucking nightmare I had with a coffee mug and a coffee machine at work the other day, and it's probably not something you've heard before. So I got in the gym for around 6 a.m. and it was a Friday, so I did my usual cardio session on the bike. Did some intervals around 35-40 minutes, and I'm absolutely blowing. Do my usual thing, go in the shower, have a shower, get sorted, and then usually my routine is that I go into the kitchen, at work this is, and I make myself my coffee, and I make myself my breakfast. In other words, I heat the kettle up to make my oats. So I'm going about my usual thing. I go into the kitchen, I start fiddling around with the coffee machine. I get the mug out the cupboard, I put the mug underneath the coffee machine thing, and then I notice that the jug, we've got one here, the jug, this thing here, which you put the water into on the side of the coffee machine, it was probably only about this full, so what, about a quarter full. And I thought, you know what, I'll risk it. I think it should be enough to actually get me through and get a coffee out of it. So I thought, you know what, let's just go for it. Usually then I'll go for a quick piss and then come back, and then I know the coffee is ready. So do the usual thing, put the coffee mug underneath the coffee machine for it to fill up with coffee, go to the toilet, sort my hair out, come back out, start walking in, and I look up and I think, what the fuck has gone on here? Look over at the coffee machine and the coffee is everywhere. The liquid, it's dripping onto the floor, it's all over the top, and I'm thinking, how the hell has this happened? So I run over, get a kitchen towel, start cleaning it up frantically because it's going everywhere. The coffee machine's still going, the mug's covered in coffee. And then once I've done it, once I've cleaned up a little bit, I think, how has this happened? I do not understand how the coffee is everywhere, because I know for a fact there's only just enough water to make a coffee, which usually only fills it up halfway anyway. So how the hell is it overflowing? So I start cleaning up a little bit more, start drying up, and I'm still thinking to myself, I don't really understand what's happened here, and I'm starting to get a little bit confused as to how it's happened. So then I go over to the coffee mug and I'm looking under the machine and I'm opening up the water jug thing and I'm thinking, I just don't get it. And then it hits me. I look over at the coffee mug and it's something I've never done before. It's a white coffee mug, so I never noticed, but the fucking coffee mug was upside down. So the coffee was dripping on to the top of the mug. And I'm thinking, you absolute doyle. But that's not the worst thing. Once I'd actually figured out what it was and I'd cleaned up and then I'd started laughing, then I started to make another coffee. And then it got halfway through the coffee, started eating my oats, and I thought, hang on, I've already brought a coffee in. I've brought my coffee flask in from work, so I didn't even need to make a coffee in the first place. So all of that could have been prevented if I just fucking realised I'd already brought my coffee flask in. So a moral of the story is make sure that you don't put your mug upside down when you make a coffee with an espresso machine. Or just make sure that you're aware that you brought your flask in. But that's not related to the topic of this video. It was on my mind, so I thought I'd tell you. I'm going to make my scrambled eggs now, as I seem to make on all of these videos. And then I'm going to go into telling you exactly what that second point is and how it's really helped me to actually stay consistent and actually get in decent shape. But what is the second point? Well, going back to the Ironman story, when I first got told by my mate that he wanted to do the Ironman and I actually agreed to doing it, fucking nutter, I thought, you know what, well, I'm going to have to knuckle down and actually start doing something. I'm going to actually have to get that structure in place after a few weeks, as I mentioned on the last point. And then I carried on going about it, and although my mate got me to do it, we weren't actually doing the plan together. What we found was that he downloaded his own program. Although we saw each other every day at work, we ended up just doing it separately. This is fine because I'd always done that when I trained in the gym. I'd do it myself. I often wouldn't have training partners apart from when I very first started. And then what I found after about around 3-4 months, that was one of the main things as well. Because we were in the first lockdown, we weren't allowed to train with each other. It was that stupid time where you couldn't meet up with people. So we were doing everything myself. And then what I found after around 3 to 4 months, even though I had a good structure, I was starting to lose a little bit more motivation again. And this can make you feel a little bit disheartened, a little bit frustrated because you start to not really look forward to your sessions. You feel like it's a bit of a slog, a bit of a drag, and then you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's how I felt. And I was thinking to myself, what can I do which can put this on a bit of a 180 to actually make sure I'm back on the straight and narrow, I'm motivated each session. Although I have the structure to follow, I can actually follow through with it, not shit myself, just follow through with the actual plan. Well, luckily for me at the time, if you remember back in 2020, we had that 3 or 4 month lockdown. And then around July, it was in the summer, we're allowed to go out and socialise again, and we're allowed to meet up with people. And what I found is, once I started meeting up with them, and we started to actually do a few runs together, and we started to actually talk about our training a little bit more, we started to plan some of our gym sessions as well, some of our swims. They were synchronised at the same time, so that we could actually do them together. So how did this change things? Well, for me, it made me, one, more motivated because I was doing it with someone, had that companionship to be able to do it, and it made me more accountable, not only to the plan, but it made me more accountable to him as well, because we were both going through the same journey. We were both wanting the same goal. Even though we're still 12, 13 months away from doing the actual Ironman event, it was still having someone to bounce ideas off, to talk to someone, to see how the training week felt, how did your nutrition go? And this made a massive change. The second point is that accountability. And you might be thinking, well, Lewis, does that mean I have to have one of my mates to get to the gym and train with and talk about it with? No, this is just one example of accountability. For me, it was having one of my best mates to be able to do the Ironman with. But in other stages of my life, I've just been accountable to myself. I've been accountable to the plan itself. I've been accountable to the goal. So for example, at the minute, as I've spoke about in my other previous videos, I want to get in one of the best shapes of my life by this summer. In around the end of June, beginning of July, I'm going to Ibiza with my best mate, and I'm not following a training program with anyone else like I was doing for the Ironman, but I want to be accountable to the goal. That is arguably one of the best things to stay accountable to, because if you set yourself a plan, you set yourself a specific date you want to actually be in shape for, and you verbalize it. Obviously, that doesn't mean you need to make YouTube videos like this. Even if you verbalize it to your missus, you verbalize it to your friendship group, you verbalize it on social media, Just stay accountable to something and someone, and that's massively helped me. That's one of the reasons I do these YouTube videos as well, and it makes me feel more motivated. It makes me feel like I'm being more consistent, and it's made such a massive shift in how I actually get in shape and I get to my goal. I lose body fat. Whatever your goal is, whether you want to build muscle, whether you want to lose body fat, whether you want to see your abs, whether you just don't want to feel a little bit embarrassed when you're on your next holiday, when your missus takes a photo with your top off, or you're with the lads and you're sucking your belly in, just stay accountable to one specific goal. Have structure. Make sure that plan is specifically designed for you, not anyone else. And number two, stay accountable, whether that's by a friend, through a friend, whether that's staying accountable to a specific goal. And if you don't follow these two things, I can almost guarantee you are going to find it really difficult to actually get to your goal. All of this doesn't matter at all if you don't have your nutrition on point. So I've got a video somewhere over here which goes through my exact 2,200 calorie diet. It's a full day of eating to give you a few ideas of exactly what you can eat. So go watch that next, or don't. I'm not your dad.